Hi everybody, this is the Website Boy from the websiteboy.com, and today we're going to be talking about functions. Functions are defined in C a little different than some other programming languages. C makes it a little bit, I'm not going to say harder, it's just a little bit, um, yes, it is a little bit more difficult to get used to it. But once you get used to making functions in C, then making functions in other programming languages is going to be easy. All right, so we know that C has uh, uh, function named main, right? And this function is gonna be the first one. That's it's the whole reason why. The reason why I deleted this because I wanted you to see exactly how this works. I think it's better that we stay blank. Now we always know that we have to include these files. We don't have to include the math file all the time, but I always create math functions, so I include the header file for that. All right. So we know that this function gets executed no matter what in every program we make in C. It's something that we need to define all the time. We need to have this function there, right? But in order for us to make other functions, we have to get out of this function here and go somewhere else and define our functions. The first thing that we have to define in our function is the type of function that we want to create. Right here, this is a void function, and I didn't mean to create a void function. This is always going to be int function. The Now this is the type that we have to declare on the function, and that's the type, and that's the first thing that we should do in our custom function. If we want to create a function that is going to return a integer or integer values, then we need to put that type in there first. So we first create the type for the function and then the name of the function. This function is not going to have any return values, so we are going to use the word void, which is going to say to C, listen, this is not going to return anything, no integers, no int, no nothing. So please void that action, void that type. Right? So we're gonna name our function. So we're gonna create this. It's gonna say custom function. All right? So mine's gonna be a custom function. That's the name of the function. That's something that I just created. I'm gonna put the parentheses, and then after the parentheses, we have what? We have the curly brackets, and that's where our code are going to be. All right, so we can do whatever we want to do in between these curly brackets, and what we're gonna do, what I'm going to do is just use a print function so you can see what it does, just to give an example, right? So let's go ahead and say my name is the website boy, or let's just say the website boy is famous. All right, and now after you write whatever you want to be executed in between these curly brackets, make sure that you return it. You always have to write a return. This one we're returning 0, meaning we're returning this number here, this integer, and this one we are um, returning this, the void. So it's gonna be nothing there because we are not returning anything. So that's why, but we still have to write the keyword return, right, for this void. So this is basically saying we are done with it. That's what basically the return is saying. All right. So now that we have this, the way to call our function, all right, is with the name and the parentheses. Usually in other programming languages, you call it like this and you put a semicolon. For C, it's something very similar to it. But remember, we have a type here that we have to kind of write down, not all the time, but we have to, let C know that this is going to be a void function or integer or whatever it's going to be, right? Now, in order for us to run the function, remember that this is the first function that is run no matter what. So when C comes, it's going to go, when the code starts executing, right? The first line of code is going to be from the top to the bottom, right? From top to bottom. And it's going to go through each of these libraries. It's going to check every function that we have declared inside this library. And if you recall, we have print function, puts function, put card function. We have math functions in there. So it's going to check all these functions. The reason why these headers are here is so we have some functions declared that we can use in our code. If we didn't have these header files here, there would be a lot of functions that we cannot use. We have to let C know that we are going to be using a function. And right now we are using a custom function, so we can't actually declare it right here. We need to create something called a prototype to let C know that we are using a function. Now, I want to go ahead and do this right now just to show you. Let's say, for example, that I want to call this function right now and I don't include a prototype. Let's just put this here. Let's just say this for example, right? Let's do that without without letting C know that we're creating a function. Let's see what happens. Nothing happens. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you. Nothing happens because C doesn't know about this function. We gotta let it know. C is not gonna say, it's not gonna run something that it doesn't know about. So it's gonna see it and say, you know what is this, man? Nobody ever told me that this was going to be print out, so I'm not going to print it. Period. Right? So we need to take this out of there and we need to use it up here as a prototype, and that's what it's called, right? So that's a prototype. Now we can use a function here, but guess what? We don't have to write down the type since C already knows the type. And now when we go ahead and build this and run it, we get the website boy is famous. We get the text output there. All right. So that's how we define a function in C. This is the syntax of a function. All right. I show you the syntax and what you do, what you need to do to use it. All right. Now I will show you how we can pass information to the function in a later tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was of some value to you. And if it was, please thank me by liking the video or favoring it, which I prefer. Anyways, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.